Hello and welcome back to DiceTillDawn, and sorry again for a long hiatus of videos, work and a lot of stuff going on, but I really wanted to get back to doing some videos, and I have a great game to show you today that I've played through now, and that is Unlock the Escape Adventures. I've now played through all of the 3 scenarios that come with this box. I think you can buy them separately from some places around the world, but this box has 3 of them, which are the island and squeak and sausage cheese, and the what is this middle one, like the escape room version. And what is this? Well, this is basically a card game that simulates a escape room adventure or stuff like that, in a sense, and plays from 1 to, I guess, however many players you want to use. Although one of these, the island one, doesn't really work solo, and I don't think it actually works pretty well from 1 to 3, or maybe 2, but I would play it with 4, I think. But the first and second one are actually okay solo also, if you want. I haven't played them solo myself, but one of my friends played the first one solo and quite enjoyed it, so it's possible for the solo fans out there. Well, anyway, the game is pretty simple. Component-wise, it has a rulebook, small rulebook, and you don't really need it that much. There's a small deck of a tutorial which teaches you the game basically by only playing this small scenario, I guess. And then there are 3 scenarios in their own boxes, and you are not supposed to look at the cards before, so just take the 1, 2 or 3 scenario you want to play from the deck, and immediately you are pretty much ready to set up by reading the text on the first card and then flipping it over, and then you start playing the game with this deck of cards. This is only a deck that uses numbers or sometimes the letters at the back of the cards, and you can't look at the other side before you have found it. And usually there are locations, like the tutorial here has a office and numbers around the office which refer to cards in the deck, for example 21 here, and when you see a number on the card you can then look it up on the deck if you find it, and then turn it face up and follow the instructions. Basically there are just 3 or 4 types of cards in the deck. 2 items colored blue or red, and usually you combine a blue and a red item to get a number. For example, a 12 and a 13 is 25, so if you combine these 2 items, blue and red, you can look up 25 and maybe there's a card for that. And then there are machines which are like green objects which usually require you to figure out how they work, and then they give you a number, usually a red number, I think. And then there are yellow code-like doors, which are things you open by inputting a 4-digit code. And as you can imagine now, this game requires an app because of these codes and stuff like that. There are some voice things, and there's music playing, and also a timer of 1 hour for the scenario, each scenario, and that's pretty much it. You just look at through your objectives and then start playing the game with your friends or by yourself, and play the game as you would do in an escape room, for example. And there are quite ingenious ideas here, but I'll get more to those in the later. But anyway, the first one is the escape room adventure, I guess, the middle one here. This is very close to a traditional escape room, I guess, where there's a room and things and objects you try to combine and stuff like that. The second one, the clown thing here, is reminds me very closely of Monkey Island or the old LucasArts adventure games. It has a great artwork and humor, and is more like a video game, but still has that escape room feeling of combining things and figuring things out. But it feels very much like a adventure game, old adventure game. So if you liked those back in the day, you will probably like the second scenario. The third is a kind of a twist on the things and has like a kind of a dividing the group a bit and stuff like that. I can't go into much detail because I don't want to spoil anything, but that's a bit different scenario, but still it uses the exact same mechanics and same things, so there's no other differences there, so it's not like a total change from the others. So the basic mechanics are very simple and they work, but they do create some problems, I think, and some of the just are very hard to figure out, and some of the, because there are like things that try to mimic the things with only a deck of cards. For example, first of all, the looking at searching for number 13 from this deck, for example, tries to, I think, imitate the fact that you are looking around and for the thing, and but then there are also like the pictures of some things, and there might be hidden numbers in some of the places. So for example, on this table there might be a hidden number here or wherever, and you have to find those while looking at the card, and some of those are, I think, a bit annoying because it's a very small card and very small art, and sometimes just like doesn't really feel that accomplishing. You find some hidden number. Sometimes they are cool, but anyway. And so there are small problems with the implementation, but the good part is that it's very simple and only uses limited amount of space, and also it's very clever and easy to understand, easy to learn. So those are pluses also. Well, what can I say? I guess I'll give you my final thoughts here on the same road. I don't want to show you the cards because they are full of spoilers, so you will just have to stay with, just have to learn them yourself if you're interested. Anyway, I'll give you my thoughts on each of the scenarios. The first one, the escape room, is when you start it, it's very interesting and feels like an escape room, and I was really excited to play it. But there are a few points in that scenario that are like, okay, that was like annoying or stuff like that. It's not impossible, but it's not easy either. But it's okay, I think. Well, the second one, the squeaks and sausages, that was one of the best experiences in a long time of gaming. I was enjoying myself, smiling, feeling like smart a lot of the times, because it's easier, I think, in some parts than the first one, but still has those very clever things you have to combine and understand and try and see. And as I said before, it totally reminds me of the old adventure games I really love. So it was, the artwork is amazing and just all around a great experience. I played it with 3 players, and the first one I played with 2. And then the last one we played with 3 players again, and that was, I think, a first problem, because you have to like split the group a bit at points and stuff like that, so it's not even. So I would recommend 4 players if you play the third scenario, maybe even more, but I think 4 is okay. I wouldn't want to play these with more than 4 players, I think, because there is still limited amount of things to do for each player. So I think 2, 3, 4 are okay, except 3 for the last scenario. Anyway, the last scenario I really didn't enjoy it at all. There was just so many infuriating things, which some of them are clever when you understand and see them, but they are just hard to find and figure out in this type of card form, and especially there were some weird decisions that you wouldn't really understand unless the other group got somewhere, and there just was a great disconnect and not the feeling of adventure together, and just a few puzzles that were just infuriating. And I don't know. I guess it was called like for experienced gamers or something like that. Epic adventure for experienced players. Yeah, well, I've played a lot of experienced adventure games and all these things, but I can say that I was quite lost at some points and just didn't feel like I was having fun at all. I think we took like 2 hours to get through the scenario, and we had to use the hints on the app a lot and stuff like that, and it was just frustrating. So I can't recommend the third scenario. I know there are probably players who enjoy the extreme challenge it gives, but I think it was the wrong kind of challenge for this kind of thing. But maybe the second scenario was just setting me up to a different experience, and that was my problem. But anyway, I didn't enjoy the third scenario, but I would gladly pay a lot for just the second scenario, because that was one of the best experiences I've had in gaming in a long time. So yeah, that's Unlock. I guess I just rambled on about it because I can't really show you the components, but I really wanted to talk about it because the second scenario was really a high point in a long time. Just rivaled like Pandemic Legacy in a feeling, but it was a tight packed 1 hour of pure fun and excitement. So look out, Unlock. I will try to find the other scenarios that are coming myself, and maybe try some of the other escape room games also. I've only tried one before this set, but all in all I really enjoyed it, and you would be sure to look this up if you are interested in these kind of things, especially if you like adventure games in the computer. These feel the same and are fun co-op to just go through with your friends. But again, as you might imagine, these are one time only, so once you go through them once, they are done. So basically you have 3 games in this box, and then you can probably give it to your friend or sell it off. I guess you could play them maybe a year or 2 after, because I don't think you would remember most of the things, but maybe a few of the coolest factors you might remember. But maybe it's possible, but I think these are one and done games, so that's a problem for some. I think I paid like 30 euros for this box, so maybe 10 euros per scenario. That's not bad, I think, because especially the second one was so fun, but it's not cheap either for just a deck of cards. So I guess it's out there, but depends on where you buy it from. So anyway, great game, and I really enjoyed most of it, except the third scenario. So, this was my ramble for at least a little while, and hopefully we'll be doing more videos soon, and stay tuned and keep watching and playing games. Bye.